Pennsylvania. How you all doing there? Trying to get the right angle here. Yeah, another one of these Facebook marketplace attacks in Winterveld in South Africa, just on the edge of Pretoria in Gauteng province. This is at least the fifth case now that's come to light, courtesy of News 24's investigative reporting. So once again, I have to give them a little bit of credit there for doing a good job actually taking a look at this situation. But wow, this is just crazy stuff. So this is the fifth one. Let me detail the four previous attacks. And I've actually been contacted by the spouse of one of those who was attacked and confirmed the attack. Actually reached out to me and told me that was the case. Thank you for that. Another person, there's been a couple other people posting comments on my videos about this, saying that in fact these attacks are real. They are real, and other people become victims. But let me just run through this. Starting in September, Tinus Grayling and his friend Hermanus Oosthuizen went to purchase a bakkie from a Facebook marketplace ad and were beaten and robbed of a lot of money. Then in October, Johan Pieterse also responded for this time a Nissan bakkie, and he was assaulted and robbed. And then in November, Robbie Seeger and his fiancée also went to Winterveld, and they were threatened by the people, saying that they kill people every day. Now, amongst this was also some racist language and racist threats, saying that they're going to kill you because of what you did to their parents and their grandparents, and so it's just ridiculous. And then, of course, we know that in early November, or mid-November, Jacob Hassan, former rugby Pretoria associated individual, was shot in the stomach and murdered by these folks. Now, the latest incident that's come to light was just before that as well. Another attack took place just before this. News 24 reports today that the title of the article is "Fast and Wounded Victims Drive 50 Kilometers to Hospital After Shootout with Facebook Marketplace Robbers." These Facebook Marketplace ambushes are out of control, folks. Bruce Muller and his friend Leon Fern of the East Strand were lured into a trap on November 7th, just days before Jacob Hassan was murdered. Now, he gave an exclusive interview to News 24, and he said that he contacted the seller on Facebook Marketplace after seeing a 2013 Hyundai light delivery vehicle for sale. He said, "When I saw it on Facebook Marketplace, it looked in very good condition. The price was reasonable in his range." So he went to him. He said the seller came back to him, and he saw his name was Joshua. So there's some more information, probably fake, but he said his name was Joshua. So that's more information we didn't have previously for these attacks. And then the conversation switched over to WhatsApp. All right, so now we've got a mobile number here. And so now we have CCTV of the thieves going into stores and petrol stations using the bank cards of people that they've robbed. And we've got descriptions of them, images of them, video of them, and now a mobile number associated with at least one of them. Why aren't these people rounded up and caught? He said that the seller was very professional, whatever that means. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Mr. Muller. He said, now the seller told him that he had to take them to his father to get the vehicle. So he jumped in the back of their bakkie, and as Mr. Muller says, he watched him closely. He said, "I noticed that his mouth was filled with gold teeth and his eyes were watery as if he was drinking all night. He looked very suspicious, probably on tick or something like that." He said, "I started panicking a little bit and loaded my firearm and put it in a place where I could easily get access to it," Mr. Muller said. Now, here's the important thing to remember here. Muller is probably alive today because he had a firearm. The fact that he was armed is probably the reason that he has survived this incident. The effort to disarm law-abiding citizens in South Africa, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Canada, in the United Kingdom, in the United States is unconscionable and morally bankrupt. People have a right to defend themselves. Unfortunately, he was able to. Now, after the guy left, he noticed that the cover on the back of the bakkie was open, so he got out to close it. While he was closing the bakkie's cover, he said a man approached on the right side of the vehicle, and he stepped next to the window and pulled out a gun. Then Mr. Muller shouted at his friend Leon and said, he warned him, and this guy turned towards him when he shouted and began shooting. Muller says he was shot in the leg. The leg went limp. He couldn't stand. His friend Leon was shot in the left side, and the bullet went through his lungs. And that's when the attacker ran away because he noticed that Leon had a gun. So I asked Leon to rush us to the hospital because I couldn't drive, is what Muller said. Now, their attacker had fired 4 shots at them. At least one hit Mr. Muller in the leg, and another went through his friend. Now, on their way out of Winterveld, they flagged down a police vehicle. This is the most unconscionable part about all this, folks. They flagged down a police vehicle, and when they flagged down a police vehicle, they told the officer they'd just been shot in an attempted robbery. This is what Mr. Muller claims the police said to him. Bear in mind, these are 2 men wounded in a shootout. Police said, He told us he was going to a case he needed to attend, and he could not help us. He told us to drive to Shoshanguve Hospital. Folks, I didn't know Shoshanguve had a hospital. It doesn't have anything else. That's a ramshackle, informal settlement. Well, it was an informal settlement on the north side of Pretoria. So the cop said, well, too bad. You know, you're wounded. You know, there's nothing I can do. I'm not a first responder. I won't stay with you and protect you or escort you somewhere. Now you just piss off and go on your own. Wow. Now, News 24 took the time to look at Google Maps, and they said the nearest hospital is the Pretoria East Hospital in Moraleta Park, not Shoshanguve. Well, of course it's not Shoshanguve. I don't even know there's a hospital there. That's the first time I ever heard there's a hospital there. I've been there. It's not a fun place to be. And this is what Mr. Mueller said in the end. He said, geez, with holes in his chest and a hole in my leg, we still drove 50 kilometers to the hospital. On our way, I called my wife and the hospital to explain we were shot and it was emergency. So when we stopped there, they immediately treated us. This is out of control, ladies and gentlemen. This is unbelievable what is happening in South Africa. How does this happen in a civilized world? How do people allow this sort of thing to happen? What's with the police? What is their problem? Why can they not do anything? I mean, they have CCTV footage, according to one of the witnesses. They have eyewitness testimony. They have multiple reports of this now. We know of at least 5 times since September that white South Africans have been targeted by this gang in Winterveld under the premise of selling a bakkie. What is going on here? How many more cases are there? I asked this question yesterday. I'm asking again today. How many more cases are there? Is somebody already dead and dumped in a ditch somewhere and no one knows they're missing? Has that happened yet? How does a police officer not take action when someone has been shot? He has a duty of care to that person. They're a citizen. They're a human being. Unless he was going to a case in which someone was being shot at actively, that case did not take priority over these gentlemen who've been shot. You have a duty of responsibility, a duty of care as a South African Police Service official. This is shocking to say the very least, folks. But you know what? It's not. It's not. This lawless nonsense that the leftists are driving the world to so they can destroy everything that's been built up, this shameful conduct, this hatred of anything that's been developed in this world, has advanced us in science and medicine and culture and language and everything, all under attack by leftists, either through neglect or through their intentional malfeasance. In this case, it's probably a combination of the two. How can a police officer not help someone in need? Well, I have a more important case. Oh, I'm sorry, does my sucking chest wound, does that bother you on your way over to give a traffic citation? Are you responding to a domestic dispute? What's going on here? Anyway. Once again, there are some pretty clear things that are related to this. I've talked about some pretty obvious commonalities of these. Facebook Marketplace is the mechanism being used to lure these unsuspecting South Africans, in one case to his death, in other cases to near death. Now we know of 2 shootings. It's a large group of these clowns that are involved in this, at least 13 to 17 according to multiple witnesses. Selling a bakkie seems to be the method to lure people. Again, I saw the photograph of one of these ads, and it's a 2013 bakkie purportedly, but it has brand new tires on it. There's not a scratch on the vehicle. Seems quite odd that you would go to Winterveld near Shoshanguve to buy a 10-year-old bakkie for 75,000 rand in mint condition. Not impossible, but it does seem fishy on the surface. All of those who've come forward so far appear to be, well, they're also white South Africans, but they all seem to be Afrikaners. And this has been occurring in Winterveld. Now, one reason might be Afrikaners because, the Pretoria area is loaded with lots of Afrikaners. That just might be the reason that they're being attacked. So Winterveld, Facebook Marketplace, a bakkie, brazen, broad daylight shooting. Protect yourselves, folks. Be careful out there. Don't be lured to these traps. We've already had one person killed that we know of. We've had 2 other people wounded, shot. No reason for it whatsoever. This is sickening. It's twisted. And it's a consequence of negligence and the failure of authorities to do their damn job. Now, you might say, well, Chris, that's harsh. SAPS is overwhelmed. SAPS is under-equipped, understaffed, underpaid, under-resourced. Yeah. And who did that? The ANC. The ANC did that. Funny how the police were well-resourced, well-equipped, well-manned, well-trained, and responsive under the National Party. They could pull it off under apartheid with a much smaller force. Why can't the ANC pull off law enforcement and public policing under its rule? Because it doesn't want to. It doesn't want to. Unfortunately, a lot of South Africans are dealing with the misery that many black South Africans dealt with throughout apartheid, violent crime in your face and everywhere you go. This is something many black South Africans had to live with during the apartheid era. And it has branched out and spread to the entire country. Nobody is safe. I said so over a decade ago, long ago, when Brett Kebble was assassinated in broad daylight in Santon City. Walk up to his car, shot his driver in the face, shot him, murdered a billionaire with deep ties to the ANC. When Brett Kebble could be murdered in broad daylight like that, I said, all bets are off. Nobody is safe in South Africa. And events have borne that out. Anyway, folks, that's enough on this topic. Be sure to leave a comment behind. If you're one of these people affected by these Facebook marketplace ambushes and you'd like to discuss it either in private or you'd like to come on air, just let me know. You can find the email address for this channel on the channel page. It's allaboutafrica2021@gmail.com, allaboutafrica2021@gmail.com. You can send me an email and I'll be happy to bring you on and we can discuss it ahead of time. If you want to come on air, you can do it. We can even obscure your face if that's something. You don't have to come on camera. You can just use your voice if you like. But if you'd like to talk about how it happened to you or something you're aware of that can help resolve this, because the police don't seem to be caring. Now, to be fair to the police, we don't know what they're doing, and you know, doing an investigation should be private, but there should be a public statement from the police that they're even aware of this and it's on their radar. But there's nothing, and they have all the information they probably need to effect an arrest. It's sad, pathetic, and horrific. Anyway, once again, if you're one of the people that's affected by this, I would be my pleasure to help you get the story out there. And for the rest of you, be aware of Facebook Marketplace. If something sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. Be careful out there. Be safe, folks. Take care.